Is it merely a piece of colored string? A fleeting trend draped upon the wrist? Or does this simple crimson cord, seen adorning countless hands, whisper secrets of a power far older than memory? A key to hidden chambers within the self and the Manzi, energetic tapestry of existence? We stand at the threshold of understanding symbols, often dismissed as mere superstition or fashion, yet which in truth serve as conduits to ancestral wisdom, echoes from ages when the veils between worlds were thinner and the language of cosmic energy was spoken freely. What if I told you this unassuming red thread, precisely placed upon the left wrist, is not passive adornment, but an active instrument, a vibrational declaration etched into the very fabric of your being? It is a concept veiled in mystery, hinted at in forbidden texts, a practice refined through centuries of inner alchemy by those who understood the subtle currents that shape our reality. It speaks of a deeper understanding of the energetic body, of thresholds and boundaries, of what is permitted entry into the sacred space of the self. Prepare to see this familiar symbol through a new lens, a lens polished by the dust of ancient knowledge. The red thread is not a shield against the world, but a sophisticated filter, allowing you, the conscious alchemist of your own spirit, to discern and decide. How does this seemingly simple act unlock profound energetic protection? What forgotten principles govern its subtle power? Join me as we pull back the curtain on this ancient mystery. Stay close. The journey into these depths has just begun. Precisely. Consider the left wrist, not merely anatomical placement, but a designated energetic gateway in the subtle body, according to ancient anatomies detailed in texts now scattered or obscured. The left side, often perceived as the receiving side, the ingress point for influences external, both benign and discordant. It is where the energetic currents from the world, without first brush against the auric field, with a veil between. The individual and the collective is most permeable. The thread, crimson in hue, a color potent with primordial symbolism, speaking of lifeblood, vitality, passion, and protection across countless traditions, reaching back to the dawn of conscious. Human history is anchored precisely here. It is not arbitrary. This particular vibrational frequency, this symbolic tether, acts upon these receiving channels. It doesn't simply repel. That would be crude, a blunt instrument against the intricate dance of cosmic energy. Instead, it serves as a point of conscious awareness, a physical anchor for the alchemist's intent, aiding the discernment process. The forbidden texts, those fragments whispering of inner fortifications and the architecture of the spirit, suggest the thread helps attune the wearer to the subtle quality of incoming energies, making the undesirable resonate discordantly against the wearer's inner harmony. It reinforces the boundary of the self, not as a wall, but as a field calibrated by ancestral wisdom, allowing the conscious self, honed by inner alchemy, to filter what resonates with spiritual enlightenment and discard what seeks to disrupt. This isn't superstition. It's applied energetic physics, understood through a forgotten lens, a key to navigating the unseen currents that shape our existence, hinting at the deeper mechanics of resonance and vibration. But how does something so simple activate such profound energetic principles? What other fundamental laws govern this protective threshold? But this is where the deeper mysteries unfold, where the veil thins just enough to perceive the intricate dance of subtle energies. How indeed does a simple thread, born of flax or silk, wield such profound potency? It is not the material itself that holds the power, but the convergence of focused intention, ancestral knowledge, and the inherent resonant properties of form and color woven within its very essence. Consider the fundamental principle whispered in the veiled pages of the forbidden texts, that all reality, seen and unseen, is composed of vibration. The crimson thread, strategically placed upon the left wrist, the primary receptive channel, according to ancient anatomical wisdom, becomes a resonant anchor, a physical manifestation of intent in the energetic field. It is charged not merely by the simple act of tying, but by the accumulated energetic imprints of generations who understood its sacred purpose, and crucially, by the conscious, focused intent of the wearer undertaking their own inner alchemy. It serves as a subtle antenna, precisely attuned to the frequencies of protection, discernment, and connection, encoded within its symbolism and placement by those who mastered the subtle arts. These ancient paths reveal that the thread helps calibrate your own intricate energetic system, enhancing its inherent ability to resonate harmoniously with beneficial cosmic currents while generating dissonance against disruptive, discordant vibrations seeking entry. It does not erect a rigid, passive barrier, but actively facilitates a process of energetic discernment and transmutation. It teaches your energetic body, guided by conscious intent and the potent wisdom it embodies, to filter and transform incoming energies, allowing only those conducive to spiritual enlightenment and inner balance to integrate deeply within your being. This seeker is the profound secret. The thread is not merely an external shield, but an active participant, a teacher, prompting a deeper connection to your own energetic sovereignty and the alchemical power you possess within. It hints at a universal principle, how resonance shapes reality, a principle far grander than this single tool, a principle that governs not just threads, but symbols, sounds, structures, and the very fabric of consciousness itself. Consider now the profound truth of energetic asymmetry within the human vessel. Ancient wisdom, whispered through lineage and encoded in texts both revered and forbidden, speaks not of a perfectly balanced energy field, but of a duality, the right side often seen as the projecting, active pole, the giver of energy and intent, and the left side, the receptive, passive pole, the receiver of external currents and influences. It is through this left side, particularly at points like the wrist, that ambient energies, both benevolent cosmic influx and disruptive, discordant, vibrations seeking entry, find their most permeable gateway. This isn't mere folklore. It is the esoteric anatomy understood by masters of inner alchemy for millennia. The left wrist, therefore, becomes a critical energetic portal. Allowing unfiltered energies to flood this receptive channel can disrupt the delicate alchemical processes necessary for true spiritual enlightenment and the integration of higher frequencies. Ancestral knowledge mapped these vulnerabilities, detailing how stray or negative currents could impede the subtle transformations within the energetic body, clouding perception and hindering the ascent towards expanded consciousness. The thread, placed upon this very entry point, serves as a conscious sentinel, reminding the wearer of this energetic truth and actively aiding the inherent ability to filter and discern the quality of incoming energy. It is a key to mastering the flow of cosmic energy, teaching the body to interact with these subtle forces not as a passive recipient, but as an active alchemist, transmuting what is received. This understanding of energetic inflow through specific points hints at a far grander system of energy management, a hidden arcana governing not just protection, but the conscious manipulation and direction of these very currents. Consider the opposing pole, the right side. While the left draws inward, absorbing the myriad energies that permeate the cosmos, the right is inherently outward, a channel of projection, action, and focused will. This fundamental asymmetry is mirrored throughout nature and is a cornerstone of ancient esoteric physiology, knowledge guarded within ancestral wisdom and hinted at in fragmented, often misunderstood, forbidden texts. The left, tied metaphorically to the lunar current, the feminine principle of receptivity, acts as the primary conduit for cosmic energy entering your energetic field. The right, linked to the solar current, the masculine principle of activity, is the primary channel for directing energy outward for transforming it within. The left wrist, situated near major energy points connecting to the heart and other vital centers of the subtle body, becomes a nexus where this raw incoming current is most potent and unfiltered. Failure to acknowledge and manage this influx is akin to leaving the doors of your inner sanctuary wide open to any passing energetic current, be it light-bearing cosmic influx or disruptive psychic debris. This compromises the delicate processes of inner alchemy, making spiritual enlightenment less a natural unfolding and more a struggle against internal chaos. The thread is not merely a symbol. It is a tactile anchor grounding your awareness in this energetic truth, a constant reminder to exercise your inherent capacity to discern and filter the cosmic energy streaming in. It teaches the subtle body to register and respond to this inflow consciously. But the journey of mastering cosmic energy does not end with filtering the incoming tide through the left hand. True alchemical mastery lies not just in controlling what enters, but in the conscious utilization and direction of this powerful force. A skill intricately linked to the opposing energetic principle, this second pole. The right side stands as the solar counterpart to the lunar left, where the left is the chalice receiving the cosmic wine. The right is the hand that lifts it, that pours it, that directs its flow. It is the side of action, of volition, of projecting that potent, filtered cosmic energy outward. Think of it as the engine room of inner alchemy. The left draws in the raw materials, but the right provides the directed force, the focused heat of intention needed to initiate the great transmutation. Ancient texts, some whispered about but rarely seen, speak of the hand of power, invariably linked to the right, the hand used to bless, to forge, to cast, to give form to the formless. This is not merely a physical act, but an energetic one. The conscious channeling of the refined cosmic energy, processed by the subtle body, outward into manifestation or interaction. Ancestral wisdom recognized this duality long before modern science could even conceive of energy fields. They built rituals, initiations, and daily practices around the conscious use of the right side to radiate health. Project will offer protection or send focused intent. Spiritual enlightenment isn't just an internal state. It's also about becoming a conduit, a sun in miniature, radiating transformed energy into the world. The hidden mystery isn't just that the right side sends energy out, but how to govern its quality, its direction, and its purpose. Is the energy sent out raw and chaotic, or is it the refined gold of inner alchemy? Is it projected unconsciously, a constant energetic bleed, or is it directed with crystalline clarity towards a specific, enlightened end? This capacity for conscious projection, for wielding the refined cosmic energy through the right side, is the active principle of mastery. But what happens when this directed energy leaves your personal field? What does it meet in the unseen? Currents that weave through reality? What echoes does it stir in the subtle bodies of others or in the fabric of the cosmos itself? But the cosmic dance is not solely one of outward projection. For every emission, there must be a reception. Turn your awareness now to the silent, receptive twin, the left side. It is the chalice, the passive gate, the side eternally attuned to the incoming currents. While the right side speaks, the left listens. It is the conduit through which we absorb the subtle energies that constantly wash over existence. The raw cosmic energy flowing through the universal lattice, the specific vibrations emanating from the earth, the planets, the very fabric of the environment. More intimately, it is through the left that we primarily receive the energetic projections of others, their emotions, their intentions, their subconscious states, a constant influx of external influence that shapes our inner landscape far more than most ever realize. Ancestral wisdom, whispers found in scattered fragments, perhaps deemed forbidden texts by later, more rigid doctrines, identified the left side with the principle of receptivity, intuition, and the deep, non-linear knowing that bypasses the shu. Rational mind. It is the side connected to the lunar, the inward, the mysterious depths where spiritual enlightenment often first blossoms as a subtle resonance rather than a blinding flash. The hidden mystery of the left lies in discerning what to receive. To be open is necessary for connection, for empathy, for gathering the raw material for inner alchemy. But this openness can also make one a passive sponge, absorbing not just light but shadow, fear, and chaos from the collective energetic field. Ancient symbolisms often depict figures holding a cup or a shield on the left, illustrating this duality, the capacity to receive the divine draft of cosmic energy or spiritual insight, and the necessity to shield oneself from detrimental influences. Mastering the left side is not about closing the gate, but about becoming a conscious, discerning filter. It is the art of allowing beneficial energies to enter, to nourish the soul and fuel the alchemical process, while deflecting or transmuting those that would contaminate or diminish your energetic field. This conscious reception, this subtle navigation of the incoming tide, is crucial for maintaining energetic integrity and facilitating genuine spiritual growth. How does this constant flow of received energy through the left side interact with the projected energy of the right? What alchemical processes are triggered when incoming currents meet outgoing force? Consider, then, this crucial threshold, the left wrist. More than a simple joint, ancestral wisdom recognizes it as a primary energetic vortex, a permeable membrane where the subtle currents of the external world most readily interface with the internal landscape of being. Here, the felt resonance of the heart finds its final defense, before potential diffusion into the physical realm through the hand's subtle emanations. This is where the hidden intentions of others, carried on unseen currents of cosmic energy, can subtly implant themselves within your energetic field. This is where the collective weight of unspoken fears or diffuse negative energies can find purchase if left unguarded. Certain forbidden texts, whispered about in hushed tones among ancient lineages, detail specific energetic anatomy points, identifying the left wrist as a critical gateway susceptible to unwanted intrusion. They describe intricate practices of energetic hygiene and shielding, rooted in understanding this point's vulnerability. It is here that the raw material for inner alchemy arrives in its most unprocessed form, not just beneficial spiritual insights or threads of cosmic truth, but also discordant frequencies that must be transmuted. The mystery lies in cultivating the discernment, the inner sight, to differentiate the nourishment from the poison. This is not merely a mental process. It is a profound energetic sorting, a subtle vibration dance happening at this vortex point. What becomes of these incoming currents once they pass this gate? And how does this processed energy then interact with the potent forces wielded by the other side? The recognition of this energetic gateway, this liminal space on the left wrist, is not merely a modern esoteric concept. It is a thread woven deep into the fabric of ancestral wisdom, appearing in myriad forms across disparate cultures separated by vast oceans and time. Consider the pervasive, almost universal practice of adorning this very point. Why here? Why the left? And why, predominantly, with a red cord? The color red, in ancient symbolism spanning continents and epochs, often signifies vitality, life force, bloodline connecting to ancestral heritage, and crucially, a boundary, a protective frequency. Certain forgotten scrolls, fragments recovered from hidden libraries, speak of red as a primal hue resonant with specific vibrational spectrums of cosmic energy, capable of either attracting potent forces or, when properly invoked, can direct it. Through focused intention rooted in spiritual enlightenment, serving as a barrier or filter. The red thread, therefore, is far more than a simple charm. It is an ancient technology of energetic intervention, a tangible focus point for the inner, alchemy required to process the currents entering through this vulnerable portal. It acts as a signal, perhaps, or a tuning fork, influencing how these raw energetic inputs, the whispers of hidden intentions, the residue of collective fears, are received and integrated into your being. But its true power lies not solely in the color or material, but in the intention imbued within it, the focused will, and the understanding of the subtle physics described in those forbidden texts. It helps delineate the self from the incoming energy, aiding the discernment needed for transmutation rather than absorption of discord. How does this act of delineation, this focused energetic work at the wrist, then shift the dynamic interaction with the forces of the other side, those wielding powers unseen? Understand that this frequency of fire, inherent in the crimson hue, was not merely symbolic in the forgotten wisdom traditions. It was understood as a tangible energetic property, capable of defining the boundary between the mundane and the consecrated, the vulnerable self and the incoming torrent of forces. In ancient Mesopotamia, red clay seals marked covenants and protected vital goods, imbued with prayers for inviolability. Egyptian rituals used red pigments not just for life force, but for binding and warding off chaotic energies. Among the Hebrew people, the scarlet thread upon the doorpost marked sanctuary, a delineation drawn with the very frequency that speaks of life preserved and boundaries upheld against encroaching blight. In Hinduism, red adorns sacred spaces, deities and worshippers, signifying divine energy, purification, and the sealing of intention within ritual. These practices, seemingly disparate, share a core understanding that red carries a potent vibrational signature resonating with the primal fire energy, that same force driving both creation and necessary destruction, purification through trial. The forbidden texts speak of this as the ignis therius, the celestial fire, a segment of cosmic energy accessible through focused intent and specific carriers like pigments or threads. The red thread at your wrist, therefore, acts as a miniature manifestation of this ancient sealing principle, a portable sanctuary defined by the frequency of fire. It helps consecrate your personal space, your energetic field, guiding the inner alchemy not just to filter discord, but to transform the interaction itself. It is a reminder that your life force, represented by blood, is not merely contained, but is a potent current flowing within a defined, consecrated vessel. But what are these forces truly seeking, and how does a defined vessel, fortified by this ancient frequency, interact with intentions born from realms beyond the veil? These forces, my friend, are echoes from the vast, untamed energetic ocean, ripples from dimensions unseen yet ever present. They are not always malevolent entities, but often simply currents of raw potential, seeking patterns, seeking resonance, seeking entry points into structured reality, into your reality. The vessel, your energetic self, fortified by the ignis therius, channeled through the simple red thread, doesn't merely block these currents. It interacts with them according to the specific frequency it now radiates. Think of it as a tuned antenna or a precisely calibrated lock. Ancestral wisdom, whispered through generations and encoded within symbols preceding written language, speaks of sympathetic magic, the power of connection through likeness or contact. The thread, being a tangible link, becomes a conductor, but also, crucially, an insulator or redirector, depending on how it is consecrated and worn. The forbidden texts, fragments salvaged from libraries submerged in time, elaborate on this, describing not just protection, but the deliberate weaving of energetic links. They detail how specific materials, colors, and knots can create microportals, or closed circuits, sealing intentions within the self, or projecting them along these carefully constructed threads. Thread at your wrist thus serves as a focal point for this inner alchemy, aiding the transformation of external chaos into manageable energy, or even into fuel for spiritual enlightenment. It helps define the boundaries within which this alchemical process can occur without undue interference. It is a line drawn not just on the skin, but in the very fabric of subtle energy, signifying your conscious intent to govern the interactions between your inner cosmos and the forces swirling beyond. It reminds you that the threads of destiny are not always pre-spun. Sometimes you must pick up the shuttle and weave your own, using the cosmic energy available. But the true mystery deepens. If the thread can seal against discordant frequencies, can it not also be used to connect to specific desired currents? To thread a path through the labyrinth of hidden mysteries and perhaps draw guidance from the same realms whose unfiltered energies it helps you ward off? This brings us to the nature of the lines we choose to follow, the connections we deliberately forge, and what happens when these intentional threads intersect with the unforeseen patterns of existence itself. Many believe protection means erecting walls, rendering oneself impervious, cold even. But the ancient wisdom, the forgotten texts whispered not of blockage, but of refinement. This thread, this energetic declaration, embodies that subtle understanding. It does not deaden your senses or stifle your compassion. It acts as a finely tuned filter, a vibrating membrane surrounding your inner cosmos. Raw empathy, untamed. Sensitivity, these can be overwhelming currents, leaving one adrift, a passive recipient of the world's psychic debris. A seal does not blind you to these currents, but rather allows you to perceive them without being consumed. It is the difference between being submerged in a chaotic ocean and standing on the shore, observing its power, perhaps even dipping a hand in deliberately. This discerning boundary creates the sacred space for conscious choice. Instead of reacting reflexively to every energetic ping, every ripple of emotion or intent encountered, you are granted a moment, a breath, a sovereign pause. You perceive, you process through the filter of your cultivated inner state, and then, from a place of centered awareness, you choose how to respond. Do you extend compassion? Do you maintain energetic distance? Do you transmute the incoming frequency? This is the alchemical process facilitated by the seal transforming passive reception into active, intentional engagement with cosmic energy. Think of it as a specific frequency signature you broadcast. The thread amplifies and clarifies your frequency, creating a resonant field. Energies that align are allowed to pass, perhaps even amplified in harmony with your being. Those that are dissonant, discordant, or harmful encounter this vibrational boundary and cannot penetrate, forced, instead to disperse or transmute at the threshold. This principle echoes in ancient talismans, in the protective knots woven into sailors' ropes against ill fortune, in the very idea of sacred boundaries around temples or individuals. They all speak of attuning a localized field to a desired state, declaring energetically, only what is welcome shall enter. This mastery over internal permeability is not merely defensive. It is the prerequisite for true spiritual enlightenment, the ability to navigate the hidden mysteries, not as a victim of unseen forces, but as a conscious participant in the cosmic dance. But if you are now the gatekeeper, choosing what frequencies may enter, what lost knowledge, what ancient currents might you deliberately invite across the threshold? This power demands not just defense, but discernment of a deeper kind. What guides the selection when the gate is opened by your will? The key is not merely having intention, but the quality and purity of the consciousness behind it. For the cosmic energy, the hidden currents, they respond not just to the signal you broadcast, but to the state of the broadcaster. Is your consciousness clear, focused, resonant with truth? Or is it clouded by doubt, fear, unresolved shadows? The ancient wisdom keepers understood this profoundly. Their rituals of purification before invoking sacred forces, their emphasis on cultivating inner stillness and a pure heart, these were not arbitrary rules, but energetic necessities. They knew that a fractured consciousness emits a discordant frequency, drawing chaotic or malevolent energies, while a harmonized mind becomes a beacon for benevolent cosmic forces and forgotten knowledge. Consider the alchemist not just tending the fire, but focusing their entire being, their will, their purified consciousness onto the crucible. It is this focused intent, this projection of a clear inner state, that facilitates the great work, transmuting base metal into gold. Your consciousness is that alchemist, and the incoming cosmic energy is the raw material. The quality of your conscious presence dictates the outcome of the transformation. This is the deeper revelation hinted at in texts locked away from the uninitiated. The true power lies not in the symbols themselves, but in the awakened consciousness that wields them. It is the conscious will, aligned with universal principles, that allows you to deliberately invite specific frequencies, specific strands of forgotten history, specific insights into the hidden mysteries, across the threshold you have now established. But what happens when that conscious intention begins not just to filter, but to actively sculpt the very fabric of energy it encounters? What ancient power stirs when consciousness becomes not just observer and gatekeeper, but creator of the resonant field? Consider the thread again. It was never merely the physical fibers, was it? It was the knot tied with fervent prayer, the whispered intention woven into its strands, the focused will projected into its very essence during a moment of heightened spiritual clarity. The object served as an anchor, a physical mnemonic for an energetic act. Ancestral wisdom teaches that symbols gain potency not through inherent magic, but through the accumulated consciousness invested in them, a principle echoing the alchemist's dedication to infusing matter with spirit. But the deepest power, the one hinted at in the most obscure, often forbidden texts, resides not in the anchor, but in the anchorer. True inner alchemy is the refinement of consciousness itself, transforming it into a tool capable of interacting directly with the subtle fabric of reality. These ancient scrolls describe not just passive reception or filtering of cosmic energy, but an active, deliberate sculpting of it. The conscious will, disciplined and pure, becomes the sculptor's hand, shaping the energetic currents around you, not to wear a protective emblem without cultivating this inner state is to engage in mimicry, a hollow echo of true power. It creates a void where active awareness should be, fostering that false sense of security that makes one vulnerable, not to brute force, but to the insidious, subtle invasions of chaotic frequencies or misleading influences that bypass the unvigilant mind. His shield is useless if the warrior is asleep. True protection is not an object worn, but a state embodied. It is the continuous, discerning awareness, yes, but it is also the proactive generation of an inner field, so coherent and resonant with the frequencies of harmony and light that dissonant energies simply cannot integrate or are actively transmuted upon contact. This is the filtering mechanism operating at its highest potential, a conscious alchemy. And this active sculpting, this generation of a personal resonant field, is the key that unlocks the hidden mysteries and taps into the raw, cosmic energy sources described in the most ancient, guarded teachings ... Abilities far beyond passive deflection ... The red thread, so deceptively simple, serves as the earth anchor for this celestial navigation. It is the tangible knot tying the infinite scope of cosmic energy and inner alchemy back to the immediate, personal reality of the self. What the most guarded, fragmented texts whisper about the sacred geometry of the individual energy field, the red thread quietly proclaims. It is a constant, silent query. Where do you begin? Where do you end? This is the essence of boundary, not a rigid wall, but a discerning membrane, permeable by conscious choice, impermeable by inherent integrity. This thread is a daily covenant with yourself, a vow to honor your energetic space, to practice the deep self-care that is the foundation of all true power. It reminds you that the sophisticated filtering mechanisms we discussed are not merely passive shields against external chaos, but active affirmations of your sovereign energetic territory. Ancestral wisdom, encoded in symbols predating written. History always emphasized the sanctity of the individual's energetic vessel. Ignoring these subtle boundaries, allowing them to fray or dissolve, creates energetic vulnerabilities, not just to overt negativity, but to the insidious currents of comparison, expectation, or psychic encroachment that leach vitality. The red thread is a gentle, persistent summons to awareness. Tend your garden, define your borders. For only when your personal field is clearly delineated and energetically whole can you truly begin to sculpt reality and interact safely with the raw cosmic energies, without risking dilution, distortion, or a far more profound kind of unraveling ... A simple red thread reveals an ancient truth. Sovereignty is not granted, but woven from within, a sacred boundary defining the temple of your soul against the cosmic tide. What does this sacred thread feel like within you? Share your reflection below. If this resonated, weave this wisdom by liking, subscribing, and sharing with others seeking their own borders. And to understand how tending this boundary repels unseen influences, step deeper into the mystery with our next exploration.